Hi guys, what's up? It's Alex here. Today we are here with round number 9 of the Go-Kart Championship in 2015. This is qualifying you're seeing on your screen. Now, left hand side of the screen is my camera, on the right hand side of the screen is James's camera. We've got 5 people in this race. You can see obviously me with the blue helmet and blue overalls, Tom L with the light blue helmet and the darker blue overalls, Will with the blue overalls and the white helmet, James with the orange and black overalls, and Will's dad, I'm not sure, we'll see in a second when the start takes off and we can see what he's wearing. I think it's a dark blue overalls and a black and red helmet. But anyway, I'll leave it in the description so you guys can confirm that. But anyway, lights are out in qualifying, away we go. Oh great, typical Alex start there. Second place on the grid, and what, last by turn 1? No, not quite last, 4th. I suppose that's not too bad. I mean, we can still build on that from here, but it's only qualifying, so it doesn't matter where you are in this order at the moment. You can see James got a bit sideways there, so it doesn't really matter where you are in qualifying, because it matters just really what the fastest time you got in qualifying was. So I mean, you could be first on the road in qualifying, but be the slowest. That's the whole point about qualifying, just get the fastest lap, and it doesn't matter if you're at the front or not. That's why most of the time you'll see people waiting up to get a good lap time in. But anyway, going up to the top hairpin here, and we're looking around the outside of James. We go for an overtake around the outside, and that is that. A pretty good overtake around the outside by myself, if I do say so myself. And now we're trying to overtake Will here. He's gone a bit wide. We're going to try and go around the outside of him, and we're going to make it around the outside, side by side, and we got that move done as well. And if you guys would have seen that on my go-karting channel, that was actually what I entered myself in for the go-kart overtake of the season award. I put that as my overtake, or sort of double overtake in the space of 3 or 4 corners. And yeah, I quite like that overtake, that's why I put it in. And up to the top hairpin once again. Will tries to go past me, but doesn't quite do it. And there is Will's dad. You can see what you saw for a second there with the black and red helmet. And I bet you're wondering, why am I waiting up at the side of the track? Well, basically I decided, well, I'm not going to get past Tom L because he's just so fast in a straight line. So I decided, let's wait up a bit here, give myself 5 or 6 seconds or so. I suppose it's about that. Just give that sort of gap in front of me so I can get a good lap time in. And I knew it was going to be really tough to overtake Tom L because he's literally so much lighter than pretty much everyone except from James. So it's pretty much impossible to overtake him in a straight line unless you're James. So that's why I decided to wait back, because I get held up behind Tom L through the twistier parts of the track because it's only his second time go-karting, so obviously he's not going to be as fast through the twisty bits. But in a straight line, it's a straight line. There's no really skill to it, is it? It's just how heavy you are really in a straight line to how fast you can go in it. So I suppose the only skill is really on the brakes, whether you can get it slowed down. But James and Will battling out over second place on the road here. Maybe that's going to really not help them in qualifying, because when you're battling in qualifying, it really doesn't help, as I said, because you're losing time. You just want a clean lap in, really. You want clean bit of road in front of you and no one to overtake. You just want it to be easy. And I mean, sometimes maybe on a track where there's a longer straights, you'd want to be close to someone at the straights on the track so you can get a slipstream, but that's not the case really here at Filching Manor. I mean, it's it's quite a long sort of straight, but it's not really possible to get much of a slipstream. Not much of an advantage, let's say, from sort of staying behind someone. And if you're stuck up behind someone for the rest of the lap, it just takes out all of that advantage that you get for sitting in that slipstream for a little bit. So you can see Tom L now has got out into the lead a bit now. He's got a bit of a gap on Will. Maybe Will has dropped off a little bit here to get a good lap time in. But to be honest, he's probably going to catch him within 1 lap, and just through the twisty bits where Tom L is slow. So it's going to be tough for Will here, because he's just going to get stuck up behind him. I mean, maybe James is in the best position here. He's left himself a gap to Will, and this lap time that he's on right now could be pretty good. So we'll see around the final corner. He doesn't do that too well, I suppose. I mean, he carried the momentum through, but didn't look too fast there for James through that final corner there. So don't think that would have been the greatest lap times, but he's got a bit more of a gap here, so he can probably attack this next lap here. But we are running out of laps here. You can see it's a 5-minute session. We're nearing the 5-minute mark in the video, but obviously there's a bit added on than the start and end of the video. So I'd say 3 or 4 more laps on the qualifying session left to go. So you can see here, Will's gone very wide. James trying to look down the inside, but that's not an option there for the moment. And across the start finish line there, you can see on the left hand side of the screen, I'm really starting to catch up here. You can see Will now is, by the look of it, letting James through here, and he did tell me in the last couple of laps he was just trying to let everyone through to get a good lap time in, and that's what his plan was, to try and do something similar to me, where I just, you know, got out of the way in the first or second lap. Was it the second or third lap? I can't remember now. Just getting out of the way to get a good lap time in. That was my plan, and you can see it's been working because I've really closed down that gap, which was about 5 or 6 seconds, as I said, to about a second now. So I'm pretty much onto the back of them here. This could actually be the last lap. I'm not sure. We'll see. We get a checker flag at the end of this lap here, but you can see Will, he lets his dad through there, so he's just in front of me now. So at this point he is looking to get a qualifying lap in, but is it too late? You can see I wasn't expecting him to back off so much through there, and I think that I looked over there, I think the checker flag is coming out here. We're closing in on the end of the session, so yeah, you can see the checker flag is waving there. So Will's left it too late to back off and get a good qualifying run in there. So did I do enough from backing off at the start to get pole position? Yes, I did, and that was actually my 5th pole position of the year. 5th pole position or fastest lap, dependent on the race weekend. But yeah, pretty happy with that. And let's go ahead to race number 1 of round number 9, and you can see obviously we're still on, I'm still on the left hand side of the screen, James is still on the right hand side of the screen, but will I get a good start? That's the main question here. The lights are out. I mean, I think I get decent starts, but then I just realised, yeah, okay, I'm racing against 4 people which are considerably lighter than me, so it's considerably hard to get anything but last place into the first turn. So that you can see all of my hard work in qualifying is just undone by the first corner. But I suppose one good thing to think about is that, you know, the 5-point rule for the best lap of the race or qualifying, dependent on where the qualifying takes place. So yeah, that extra 5 points does really help out, especially if you do qualifying, because it can, you know, it can help you when you maybe aren't really the best off the start. Let's just say that if you're not good off the start, having that extra 5 points can help ease the pain of being last into turn 1 every single time you start near the front. So yeah, it's actually not bad. I mean, when I start in like 3rd or 4th place in the grid, I always find it maybe a bit better, but it's just starting up pole position, you're sort of on the dip, sort of the hill goes down by the start finish line, then up straight away. You're sort of starting on an incline pretty much, and if you're starting at the back of the grid, you start on a bit of a decline, downhill bit. I don't know what the right word is there, but anyway, I've got past Tom L here now. I'm trying to get past Will's dad. James currently leads with Will right up behind him. I'm trying to look around the outside of Will's dad there, can't get that move done. And can we get a good run through this final corner? I call it the final corner, but it's not really, is it? Because that's sort of a corner there, and this is technically turn 1. I don't really ever call it turn 1 because it's just flat out really. So I don't know, it's really weird because I call this turn 1 where James is heading into now, but it's not really, is it? But anyway, top hairpin. I get a good run through there. Will's dad gets a bit sideways, but he can't quite. I can't quite get enough of an overlap there to try and get past him here, but through the fast left hand, you can see how much time I gain there. I have to slightly back off so I don't hit into the back of him there and then lose even more momentum. Trying to look down the inside down, going for the gap. Oh, get pushed over the curb there. Maybe slightly aggressive there from Will's dad. He gets sideways once again, and he nearly pushed me into the tyres there. He's getting quite close this racing here, trying to go around the outside of Will's dad, but he can't. Once again, he just defends the position and he stays in 3rd place on the road, and I'm trying to get through, looking down the inside here. No, once again he turns in. I haven't got enough of an overlap there to get past him there. So up to the start finish line once again. Every time I try and go for a move, I just see James and Will get further and further ahead. It's like, it's going to be 3rd place or nothing really in this race, isn't it? 3rd place is going to be the best result I can get. So that's pretty much what I was gunning for here. And Will's dad gets a bit sideways there once again. He gets sideways a lot that time. They're trying to go around the outside. He's pushing me. He's made contact with the cart, and he sort of pitched me sideways there, which has then thrown me back into the path of his cart and pushed him off the track. So from trying to push me off the track there, maybe he got a bit of payback there, because I was trying to go around the outside there. He didn't leave me any room, and that meant my cart sort of pitched sideways ever so slightly, and I was just like, well, you know, that whole accident was through his own doing there, you know, trying to push me off the track. So yeah, luckily I got the position there which I was going to get if, you know, he left me space. So I was side by side with him, so I was entitled to space there, but you know, I was pushed off the track there and sort of pitched sideways into his kart, which sent him off. So we're up into third place now, but a bit of a gap there to the front two here, so it's going to be tough to close down that gap to the lead. But you know, who knows what can happen in go-karting. Let's hope we can close down that gap here. But it looks like there's been a bit of a crash there. I don't know who someone's ended up in the tyres there. I'm not too sure. Was that Will's dad when he went sideways through there? I don't think it was, but maybe it was. I'm not too sure. Well, I don't know. We can't really look back at the footage because we already saw it and we didn't see him hit the tyres. So yeah, weird. I don't know why they're fixing the tyre wheel in the middle of the session. Maybe it was Tom L who'd made contact with those tyres in the section behind us, because we haven't got a camera view from his point of view, so maybe it was him. But yellow flags at the top hairpin, so everyone's slowing down, and you'll hear when I see the yellow flags I lift off and go a lot slower through here, and obviously get as far away from the marshals as possible. Not driving quite as fast, but I still not too sure why the tyres were put back in the middle of the session. Probably would have been safer, to be honest, to just leave it till the end of the session and put the tyres back down. I don't know, obviously I'm not a marshal, so I don't know, but maybe they need to be put back down, so we'll just assume they had to be there. So into top hairpin once again, you can see James backing off here, and I'm going to the top hairpin as well. They're raising the yellow flag, so I go slowly. James is going very slowly here. I think actually this is the lap. Yeah, this is the lap I was thinking about. He actually, you know, James and Will both got told to go back to the pit lane, but I didn't get that message. They brought that sort of sign back in. By the time I got to this final corner, I was like, what's going on here? So I just decided to follow them into the pit lane, even though I didn't get that warning from the marshals to come into the pit lane here. I assume it was for everyone, but we just didn't get that message from third place backwards there. And I don't know, I think, oh yeah, it was they brought us in the pit lane to just tell us slow down a bit more under the yellows. I think it might have been Tom L who was really just speeding under the yellows and going flat out through there. And obviously it's only his second time go-karting, so you know, you maybe sort of, even though you see the yellow flags, they don't really, you know, think what does that mean. And obviously James, myself, Will, and Will's dad obviously all just like backing off a bit, you know, going slower through the yellow flag zone here. And you can see as we're going round, I wasn't sure what to do here because there wasn't, you know, yellow flags out here, but I was just like, follow James, see when he accelerates, I'll accelerate as well and try and follow them. But I couldn't quite get down the power down straight away. But we'll run slightly wide here. We run side by side up through the first turn. No, we don't. Will's already ahead of us there. That's just that straight line advantage there, kicking in and up to the top hairpin. Once again, the yellow flags are out now. You can see the marshal walking back to the his little hut thing, and that's good that he's got the tyres all back in place. So everyone should know for next time to back off a bit around the marshals. I think that's just a lesson learned there for Tom L. Obviously, as I said, very unexperienced with karting and all that, so he might not have just remembered what that yellow flag actually meant. And yeah, so now Will going for the move on James. He's put the kart down the inside. James is left in the gap, but will James' superior straight line speed help him go back before the braking zone? No, it won't. I'm going wide into the corner to try and get a bit of a switch back there. James is quite slow through the corner. Maybe he's just backing off a bit because Will was in front of him. But for us, that's really cost us a bit of time there because we had a good run through that first corner, top corner at the hairpin, and we couldn't capitalise on it because James sort of put the brakes on. Right, there's no way I could avoid that without losing time. So yeah, now Will's in the lead of the race. He's already won 2 races this season and finished second in the other 2, so he's had nearly maximum points so far this season. What's that dropping? He's dropped 6 points, I think, so far, because he got pole in those 2 races as well. So yeah, he's only dropped 6 points, you know, this season, which is surprising. But this time I've got pole position, so we'll drop those points for that. But anyway, you can see he's starting to pull away a bit from James here. And I'm trying to keep up with James here because I know I had the pace to keep with him, but it's whether I had the pace to overtake him. That's the thing. I think me and James are really evenly paced, but we've got sort of different speed in different areas. James is obviously very fast in a straight line, and he's pretty good on the brakes as well, even though he makes a bit of a mess of that one, getting a bit sideways. And yeah, so his advantage is in the straight line. Mine is probably through this part of the track here, where I seem to be able to get good speed. And through this last corner here, you can see I close out quite a bit, but then once again, straight line speed comes in about here, and there's just no way that I can keep up with him. You know, I didn't have the slipstream here, I'd be so far behind, but even the slipstream I am getting, it's keeping me within distance, but still nowhere near close enough to get an overtake done. And we are heading towards the end of this race here, actually. I mean, we haven't got too long to go, probably 1.5 minutes, so 3-4 laps to go here in this race. So it's going to be all about trying to get this overtake done, but Will's off into the distance here. Unless he makes a mistake, we are going to only be second place at best here, and we're trying to make this overtake happen. But James very fast down the straight once again. We're trying our best to get a bit closer and a bit closer, but it's just not happening. Into the top hairpin, James makes a mistake. He leaves a big old gap, but we can't capitalise on it because he gets a good, you know, because running out wide, he's got more time to just carry that momentum. Even though he's run wide, he can keep that speed up. So now we are at the final braking zone, really. Now on the power once again, I'm right up behind him in the slipstream here. I mean, it's, even if I'm right up behind him in the slipstream, it's really tough unless he leaves like a big gap for me to go through. And at this point, I was like trying to stick to the inside here to maybe make him make a mistake, but that didn't happen. And unfortunately for me, I've dropped a lot of time back there from going to that inside line. It means that I've obviously not got the momentum through the corner, and that's just meant James has gone ahead. But you can see he's starting to catch Will as well in these last couple of laps here. Will actually did tell me off the race. He made a slight mistake about a lap ago in this sort of stage of the race. He hit the tyres up at the top hairpin. He ran a bit wide, hit those tyres, and he actually lost quite a lot of seconds through that. And you can see James, as soon as he sees Will a lot closer, he's really putting the throttle down a lot easier and putting the pedal to the metal. I think that's the right saying. And he's closing in quite a bit on Will. But I think this is the last lap of the race as we head up to the start finish line here. The checker flag will be waving any second now as we cross against the start finish line, and it's Will in first place, James in the second position, and I finish in the third position. Who finishes in fourth position? It's actually Tom L. He overtook Will's dad in that race, so that's good for him, and a couple of extra points to go with it as well for fourth place over fifth place. We're actually only 1 point, but you get my point. One extra point can be a lot in this championship, as we saw last year. I think it was at third and fourth place in the championship, separated by 1 point. So every single point in this championship will matter, and especially as Tom L could be in a battle for 6th, 7th place in the championship. We'll see, obviously, soon in the next couple of rounds how he does. But anyway, reverse grid for race number 2. Will's dad lines up on pole position with Tom L in second place. Let's see how race number 2 goes. So it's time. Look at the lights. Away we go here. Tom L gets a pretty bad start there, and he gets sort of squeezed between me, and it was 4 wide there for a little bit. And guess who comes out of it worst? Yes, me. Surprising that, isn't it? Anyway, turn 1 in 5th place. Now I'm like, let's just go for the overtakes here with Will's dad leading. Tom L right up behind him as well. Will in 3rd place there, so he's had a good start from last place on the grid. James staying where he started in qualifying, and I get the typical bad start down to 5th place there. So yeah, there's nothing really I can do about the starts. I mean, even if I trained reaction times and all that, I really, you know, couldn't do it much better. I'm going around the outside of James here with the similar move that I did in qualifying, around the outside, but going side by side here. I try and go back down the inside there, and I get the move done, and James slightly backs off there. I think he was just trying to avoid a possible accident. If he tried to carry a bit more speed, it might have ended up with an accident between us two there. But nice move, once again, if I do say so myself. But anyway, that was a similar move to qualifying. So you can see there, Will's dad has got away in the lead this race here, and James, sorry not James, Tom L right up, has got Will right up behind him, I should say. But maybe Will can capitalise on this. Maybe you can use that slipstream that Tom L is right in front of him. Maybe you can use that slipstream to go for an overtake and get into second place and start catching down his dad. He gets a bit sideways there, right up behind Tom L. But we're looking for the exit of the corner there. We've got a good exit there. We're running side by side there. You see from James's camera view here, we're trying to go side by side, but Will has that extra speed in a straight line. We're trying to run side by side. At this point, I'm like, just go defensive now, because James is going to come for the overtake around the outside. Then on the brakes, I'm going into the corner. We're going side by side with James. I get that overtake back done, and I'm back into 4th place now. But you can see Tomel has really caught up to Will's dad now, and he's going to be looking for an overtake, and hopefully for his sake at least he'll try and get past Will's dad. But he's got quite a slow exit off that last corner there. You can see Will's right up behind him, he's looking down the inside. Oh, there's nearly contact there, but luckily there wasn't. I think obviously once again Tomel maybe just needs to have a quick look at some of this footage just to see some of the, you know, obviously because you don't realise, Will was telling me this, a bit of a contact there as Will gets a bit sideways into the tyres once again, and I get dropped behind James, but you don't really realise. But Will was telling me this a little bit after the race. He was saying that the back of the karts are so much wider than the front of the karts, you don't really realise it, so you sometimes sort of turn into people without even realising it. Obviously, you know, me, Will and James know that from driving this track an awful lot, and we know how, you know, how to place the karts, you know, perfectly to block off people. You know, we're trying to not block off, but, you know, defend people and all that sort of stuff, and how to attack if that gap's big enough. So yeah, we know that from all that experience, but Tomel obviously doesn't know that because it's only his second time, and I think these are faster karts than he's probably driven beforehand. So yeah, it's probably understandable for the first couple of times at least that he might not be so aware with the sort of spatial surroundings of you know, who's there and all that sort of stuff. So I'm sure it will come in practice. As, oh, look at that, Will's dad's gone for a spin, and he was leading the race at that point, and everyone's got past him. So he's had a mistake there. I'm not too sure whether that had anything to do with Tomel trying to overtake him or something. I'm not sure, but that's dropped him down from the lead of the race down into last place there. So from first to fifth in one corner through one little spin there. I think that's just this, you know, round. Everyone's so evenly matched in a way. None of us are a substantial amount faster, you know, over a race distance. So one little mistake can cost you a whole heap of position and time. And obviously, you saw in that one accident, a relatively harmless spin has ended up in dropping from first to last. But Will's on the case now of Tomel. He's right up behind him, and it looks like he's going to try and go for a move through the first corner, heading up to the hairpin at the top of the track here as Will, lining up a move. It looks like he is down the inside. No, he can't quite do it once again. Tomel gets turned into the corner better, but he's got a bit sideways on the exit. I'm looking from James's camera view here so we can see that fight a little bit better, and if you switch it up into full screen mode you might be able to see it even better than I can. But it looks like Will's right on the bumper here of Tomel, trying to get, you know, a better run somewhere through on the track. But you can see how much I'm closing down on James as well. So this front four of us is actually coming together quite nicely here, because obviously Will's getting held up behind Tomel, and that's all just sort of, you know, closing up a little bit here. And I'm assuming Will's dad, or as Will goes for the move there on James, not James, getting confused between James and Tomel. They're both too fast for me. Oh dear. Yeah, so Will's got past Tomel there for the lead of the race. Tomel has dropped into second place there, and now James has the pursuit of Tomel here, and they're the two fastest drivers in a straight line because both of them are so light. So it's going to be an interesting battle here. So this is all going to be down to driver skill, really. There isn't much of a weight difference between those two because they are just so small in a way. So they should be quite matched in a straight line. So it's all going to be about who's faster through the middle sector that we're going through here. I'll just call it two sectors really, the first and middle sector. There's no existence of a last sector in this track, in my mind at least. Just, yeah, anyway, doesn't make any sense, but you know what I mean. Anyway, first corner once again, James is right up behind Tomel now, putting him under pressure up to the top hairpin. Is he going to go for a move down the inside? Well, he breaks a substantial amount later, but he can't quite get that overtake done, even though he is closing in, and I'm staying that same sort of gap behind James here. I can't quite close in the gap, but maybe through the twistier part of the track I will be able to close up. Yep, you can see already I closed up a bit here just because that's the part of the track. Oh, there's contact. Tomel gets sideways, and James just gets collected in that incident through no fault of his own there. It was just wrong place, wrong time there for James, and he just got caught up in an accident which he couldn't really avoid there as Tomel spun in front of him. But I suppose actually if James wasn't there, Tomel would probably have fully spun, but James actually saved him there, and James lost out of it. So really bad there for James, getting caught up in the accident and actually maybe helping Tomel actually out with his spin. But now that's put me right up alongside Tomel. He cuts me off there ever so slightly. I don't know what you call it, cutting off. He was just about in front of me there, but that was quite close, not gonna lie. But anyway, top hairpin once again, we're going up to it. James is You can see he's using this straight line advantage to close in on me, but I'm defending that inside line. I know what he's going to try and do. He's going to try and overtake me, obviously, isn't he? But James actually told me after the race, when he saw me overtake, he was like, it's going to be a lot harder to overtake me because obviously I've got a bit more experience than Tom L. But maybe that isn't actually the case. Maybe it's going to be easier to overtake me because he knows he's got that straight line advantage over me. But yeah, we'll see. Anyway, up to the top hairpin once again. You can see James's OP straight line speed up to the top hairpin, but I leave a gap, but it's not big enough. James gets a bit sideways there. I think he jammed on the brakes ever so slightly there. Maybe didn't expect me to be going so slowly through that corner or something, or maybe he just braked a bit too late himself. But now I'm really putting the pressure on here on Tom L to try and get past him here. Final corner, Tom L gets a bit sideways, but I just can't get that. I can't get close enough to be overtaking here. This is the part of the track where I need to be going side by side with Tom L really, because if he was on the outside it probably would back off, but I just can't get enough of an overlap there to get past and up to the top hairpin. I actually saw James just in my right eye as I turned to that corner. I was like, please don't crash into me, because I left a sort of gap open because I didn't think he was close enough, because I did look behind just a little bit before to check whether he was close enough, but at this point I was like, he's right up behind me once again here after a slight mistake, so I need to go for this here. So I'm trying to go down the inside of Tom L once again. He's left a gap and gets a little bit sideways through the corner here, but look at this straight line speed from James. I think that just says it all, doesn't it? Up to the top hairpin. He's passed me before he even gets into the braking zone, so there's no way I can even sort of defend from that. It's impossible, so we'll have to find a way to try and equal that out, but I don't think that's going to be possible. But anyway, final corner. Once again, we're closing in on the last couple of laps of this race now. James so close there to getting past Tom L. And I'm right up behind James once again now, nearly pushing him through the corner. For anyone wondering, there actually wasn't any contact there. I didn't hit the back of James. I didn't hit the back of James's kart there. So yeah, it's just very, very close there. So yeah, now this is second, third and fourth within a second of each other here, so this is really, really close. So last couple of laps of this race now. Tom just about defending from James here, but can James get the run? He's got a good run through the corner there, and he should, if he stays in the slipstream here, he should be able to get a good run, maybe around the outside here. So the run up to the top hairpin. Tom L isn't defending. James, he's got a gap down the inside. James is going for that gap. He sort of forced his way out a little bit there, and Tom L has to sort of get out of the way there, because there's, James, there was a gap for James to go for. So I fully respect his decision to go for that overtake there, because Tom L, he didn't really block off the racing line there. So James was like, I'll take the opportunity, and it's exactly what he did. So he capitalised on that. A little bit of maybe a mistake from Tom L of not defending there, but now he's probably going to go ultra defensive to keep me behind, I suppose. But up to the top hairpin, and what's that? Yellow flag? Yes, it is a yellow flag. We've got a tyre in the middle of the track here, so, well, not really in the middle of the track, but anyway, this is the last lap of the race. So we've got, what, 2 corners to overtake. We're not going to get past Tom L here, so it's going to be last corner magic, is it? Well, maybe. Yes, we're down side by side now, up to the start finish line. There's a bit of contact going side by side across the start finish line. It wasn't to be, was it? We finished in 4th place, and I was actually really, I don't know, not upset isn't the right word, but a bit frustrated that I couldn't quite get the overtake down that last corner there. I didn't quite do well enough. But anyway, that's the race results as you saw. And overall that meant that that's how the championship standings look, and it actually means that I am the champion now, because there's only 105 points available for the last 3 rounds of the season. So no one can beat me. I'm the champion now. So the most someone can get is my dad. If he goes and maxes out the next 3 rounds, he can get 206 points. So that's obviously not enough. And obviously Will's up there as well. Now he's overtaken Tom and Tim in that round. James has got past Harry. Tom L has moved ahead as well. He's moved up the standings a little bit, which is good for him. But anyway, that's it guys. Once again for this video. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. See you next time. Spinax, I'm out here. Goodbye.